Chapter 27. Horror. 5 weeks have passed since our arrival in Jayam. It's 7:30 a.m. and I'm whistling my way to work. Suddenly, a vehicle appears on my left. Matier shoots out of it like a devil. His face is decomposed. I'm immediately worried. What's the matter? He answers in a panicked tone, his face dripping with sweat. I don't have time to explain. I've got to take you right away. I hold him back as he prepares to climb back into his machine and say, I want to know. He hesitates, then decides to speak. Clara has had an accident. I squeeze his arm a little roughly and question him with my eyes, gripped by anguish. Matier clarifies, she fell. A fracture, nothing more. Matier is visibly uncomfortable. He starts to sweat profusely. His eyes flee mine. He rushes into his vehicle. I imitate him, puzzled. He starts off with a bang. I shower him with questions, but he doesn't answer. We approach Jayam. Matier gives me a distressed look. He looks ready to burst into tears. I don't understand. Then he finally says, Forgive me, Nathan. They took Clara and Nilia hostage. I didn't want to betray you. He slams on the brakes. Immediately, soldiers burst out from behind the trees, armed with assault rifles. A truck pulls up across the road. In less than 2 minutes, we're completely surrounded by some 40 soldiers. Mausers are pointed at me. Matier lets out a sob and runs his hand convulsively over his face. Then he comes down with his arms raised. I do the same. My mind is extremely confused. Anger gradually takes over. An officer issues an order to the soldiers standing at the back of the truck. Clara soon appears, her hands tied behind her back, a gun pointed at her temple. She advances slowly. My gaze is riveted on the cybernetic hand holding the weapon. A hand extending a black leather sleeve decorated with insignia proving the soldier's high rank. I swallow hard as my eyes land with fear on the face of the man holding it, Chap. He gives me a hateful grin and orders me to kneel down. I cast a quick glance around and think 100 miles an hour. Maybe I could grab one of the soldiers' weapons? But that wouldn't do much good. The others would be quick to retaliate. I don't want to give that dog the pleasure. Chap yells, kneel down. I obey, with a heavy heart. I see tears glistening on Clara's cheeks. Suddenly, I realize it was futile to hope for a better life away from Epoxia. Rifle barrels are now touching me, as if to subdue me. Chap lowers his weapon, takes the 2 steps separating him from me and grabs my hair. With a sadistic laugh, he pulls my head back and says with violence, I hope you had a good vacation in the fresh air, Nathan, because it's over now. Because of your band of traitors, unfortunate rumors about Africa's survival are circulating in Epoxia. The only way to silence them is to make an example of them. We'll show the people what punishment we have in store for traitors and liars. Africa no longer exists. He leans over me and hits me with all his might. I fall to the ground, unconscious. The sentries grab Clara and me and throw us into a cocoon of imprisonment. Our happiness was short-lived. A military transport aircraft approaches, raising clouds of dust. Chap exchanged a few pleasantries with the Africa officers, then boarded. Direction Epoxia. At last, he gets his revenge. As for the 2 of us, after our wonderful stay with Africa, we have a rendezvous with death. Locked in a cocoon of sleep, we have no memory of our sad journey home. Once the ship's cargo hold was opened, I came to my senses. Seeing the vault of Epoxia again gives me a feeling of disgust to the point of nausea. A sob crushes my throat. Clara, my love, I've failed. I've dragged you down in spite of myself. Yet I wanted to offer you a new life, a life of dreams, far from this cursed city. I wanted us to be able to look up at the stars every night of our lives, and here we are. In this permanent hell. Forgive me. What little I can see tells me we're in a military compound. To my right, Caleb glances at me from time to time. A group of armed men surround us and lead us towards a cold, dark building, probably the prison where we'll await our execution. We're in. The heavy metal door has just closed behind us. The worst is yet to come. Here I am, alone in my cell, securely tied to a steel mast, facing Caleb. He says to me, "I'm so happy to see you again, Nathan. I'm sure you've missed me." I strain forward with all my muscles, seized by a brutal urge to hit him and yell, "Release me and let's settle this right here, right now." Caleb sneers and takes a step towards me. He observes me for a few moments with false commiseration, then takes my jaw in his right hand and squeezes it forcefully. He releases his grip as soon as he hears my bones crack. The pain is violent, but not one of my facial features betrays my suffering. I refuse to give my torturer this joy. I leap forward and these cursed chains brutally remind me of my condition as a man of flesh in the face of my enemy's cybernetic strength. This inequality fills Caleb with joy. He gloats as he sends me a resounding slap. Good. Let's get serious again. I'll have fun later. Come on, pull yourself together, Nathan. What you're going through right now is nothing compared to what's in store for you. By the way, you'll never see your dear wife again. I stand up, drunk with fury, and scream at the top of my voice. What have you done to Clara, you dog? Where is Clara? It's me you want. Why are you? Her. You coward. Caleb fixes a burning gaze on me and answers, "Yes, Nathan, it's you I want. I promised myself I'd get even with your father, who didn't hesitate to throw me out after giving me a beating I'll never forget. Remember, Nathan." He lets out a loud laugh, before continuing sarcastically, "Yes, and I don't like your wife very much either, I must say, and I'd like to include her in my plan. Plan? To make no secret of it, I want to test her resistance. The few tortures I'm going to inflict on her should tell me something about her capacity for endurance." I fall to my knees, defeated. All courage is gone. He puts on a fake look of sorrow and walks away. I close my eyes in intense despair. The past resurfaces, staring us in the face. I know now that Caleb will stop at nothing to exact his revenge. Hatred and resentment have driven him mad. Yet my father is guilty of nothing. All he did was keep a cruel, deceitful man away from our family. And he paid dearly for it. Now it's my turn, and I'm unwittingly dragging Clara into this whirlwind of murderous madness.